I don't know about all of you, but I can say for myself that I didn't sleep particularly well last night. I don't know what I would describe what was happening sort of in my heart or my spirit. I guess in general it's a sense of anxiety, not knowing what's coming next, and feeling somewhat, anxious. And I will also admit that thoughts in my head like, what is the world coming to? Or what does this mean when we see senseless acts of violence and whatever could be the result of it? And in many ways, I felt a little convicted that I was feeling that way. And I also, in coming here today, felt a little like maybe that's not something I should talk about on such a festive day. But then I thought to myself, if you're anything like me, you might be feeling some of the same way. And so it might seem more opportune for all of us to just acknowledge, the dynamic in the middle of the room and address it from the perspective of our faith, and in particular from the perspective of our scriptures today. And so isn't it fitting that on this day of celebration, where Jesus invites us and challenges us in almost the same breath, that all of us should check our faith to say, do we believe that our God reigns over all of our lives? Do we believe that our God is capable of transforming any sin, any difficulty, any concern that we have, any worry of ours? Do we believe that Jesus raises that up, that our God is more powerful than any evil present in our world? Do we believe that? Okay, 3 people believe that. That's great. It's looking for maybe 4 or 5, but do we believe that? Yes. Yes. And that is the nature of worship, that whether we're coming together to celebrate something wonderful, as we are today here in Highlands, or whether we're coming together in the aftermath of something very difficult, the unity of faith, and that there are people sitting next to us, some of whom we know, some whom we may not know, to be united with that yes, to profess that our God is greater than any evil, and that our lives are in God's hands, that we entrust our lives and the life of our neighborhood and our parish and the life of our country into the loving hands of God. And we will not give way to fear or to any other attempt on our part or the part of the world to claim that this moment is anyone else's other than our God's. And the more that we remind ourselves, the more that we celebrate that, the more not only is our faith strengthened, but more importantly, the more we are empowered to go out and make a difference in the world, which I believe is what gets throttled a bit in moments like this. In moments like this, we stand before something that seems to be, hurtling out of control beyond us. And we say, who am I? How can I make a difference in a world where violence is used as a means? What do I do? There's nothing I can do. I'm just Mike Martin. I'm just one person. And it's to that limiting power of evil in our broken minds and broken spirits and broken hearts and broken souls that the grace of God steps in and says, You don't know how powerful you are. You don't know what I have in mind for you personally, let alone collectively as a family, collectively as a faith community, collectively as a country. You don't know me if you think you're not empowered. And so we come here today not in fear and to proclaim that the things that are happening out there are beyond you and me. No. We have not only a responsibility, we are able to respond, we have a responsibility, but we are empowered to make that difference. And when we all do that, even if just one of us does it, the world is a better place and the kingdom is built. The question is, are you all ready? Are you ready to accept that invitation that comes with a challenge? I hope so. But it's understandable if you're a little reluctant. Our first reading today from the prophet Amos is a reluctant prophet. Not that anyone ever is an enthusiastic prophet. All of the prophets are reluctant. Who of us, talking to our children or even considering our own future, saying, of all the things I was considering doing, I thought prophet might be a good thing for me. I would love to go out into the world and be a nudge, and just constantly challenge people to be better. No one puts that, it's not even an option in some of our ways of thinking. No one wants to be a prophet, and yet we too, by our very baptism, we're baptized as priest, prophet, and king. We have the responsibility to go out into the world and do the difficult thing, do the tough thing of proclaiming hope in a world that has none, in a world that is directionless, is not rooted. And so, like Amos, we are reluctant ourselves, and it's okay to acknowledge that. However, we can't remain in our reluctance. We can't remain there and say, well, that's for someone else. That's not for me. That's for Father Barone. That's his job. Everyone wants to tell other people what their job is. Well, I'm here because I'm sure you'll all tell me what my job is, but one of my jobs is to tell you what your job is. And your job as baptized members of our community is to accept the responsibility that is yours. You cannot opt out. You cannot give in to your fear. You cannot play to your weakness and try and sit and hang out in the middle of the church where hopefully no one will see you and no one will call on you. Yes, ma'am, you. No one will call on you and say you're responsible. No, you can't hide from this. We have to be ready and willing and able to say, here I am, Lord, send me. Send me. I know the reluctance. 3 months ago, I was fat and happy sitting in a parish south of Atlanta, loving life. Everything was great. Not that I'm not loving life now. I don't want to give the wrong impression, but we never know when our gifts are going to be brought to bear. And would I have thought that this would be something that I could do? Of course not. I can't even figure out when to put my mitre on and take it off. I have to have someone help me, So I know my own limits, but I believe in the power of Christ, in His Spirit, to work through me, even through my weaknesses. So too for you. There's not one of us that can absent ourselves from that. Amos shows us that so powerfully in the first reading. In our second reading, we're all reminded that the one thing that we all share and that all of us too often claim as the get out of jail free card that takes us off the hook for being the prophetic disciples in the world is our own sinfulness. All of us said, Bishop, if you just knew me, you would never call on me to be the one. You would pick 16 other people 60 other, 600 other people before you get to me. That's what all of us claim, because there's not one of us here who's sinless. All of us share that same brokenness. And in our second reading, St. Paul to the Ephesians, he sings to us this Christian hymn, this hymn about Christ that had become so common in his time. It was repeated over and over again. And what does it say? What does it sing? It shows us that our destiny is to be a part of the glory of the risen Christ. That's your destiny and mine. And it's not some destiny for some future reality. Sure, it is a future reality, but it's also an imminent reality. It's a present moment that each and every time you and I say yes to the will of the Father, each and every time that you and I cooperate with God's grace in some small way, even though the moment before we sin, each and every time we do that, we participate in the glory of our risen Christ. That's why he came, so that we could experience that glory now and in the life to come. And so no one gets to say, well, sorry, I'm too big of a sinner. No. You're part of something greater than yourself. And we need reminders of that all around us. Our gospel today is an interesting one on a practical level. It's always just been important to me that Jesus is sending his disciples out 2 by 2 to do that very thing, to go out into the world and preach the good news. And what does he do? He gives them not a list of things they should take with them, but he gives them a list of things they shouldn't take with them. Now, I don't know, are a number of you seasonally here? How many of you are seasonally here? Okay, we're a little jealous of the rest of you, but the seasonal ones among us, whenever we were getting our things together to come here for a week or a month or 4 months, whatever, however long we're here seasonally, we wrote a list of things that we needed to bring so that we wouldn't forget them, didn't we? Or is it just the 6 or 7 OCD among us that have to write a list, right? None of us wrote a list that said, don't take this, don't take this, don't take this. What is Jesus saying? What does he want us to understand? If he's saying, don't take anything, what is he saying about what he wants us to take with us out into the world? What's he saying he wants us to take? Ourselves and his Spirit within us. To trust him. To trust that that's all we need. Ourselves. We are what's being sent. With our warts, with our gray hair. And again, you cannot opt out because you're just a visitor. You know? No. There are no visitors in a Catholic church. No visitors. We're all members. We're all baptized into this. You can't somehow tell yourself that I'm just here for a time. There is no such thing. You're here as a believer, and today the Lord calls you to go out into the world. There is no vacation from our discipleship. And so you and I need to be those people who are willing to step up and say, look at me, and our presence to make a difference. That's a little frightening, isn't it? I don't know about you. To say I'm a golfer is to elevate my status probably beyond where it should be, but I enjoy playing golf. Not particularly good, but I enjoy playing golf. And I will tell you that driving up here yesterday, I thought, why didn't I bring my clubs and come like a day before? Because so many beautiful courses I saw all along the way. What happens to me a lot of times, sometimes I might not have a game that I'm playing with anybody, and so I might just go to a public course and show up, and you get paired with a few other people, right? Hi, I'm Mike, I'm Joe, I'm Tim, I'm whatever, right? Until about the 6th hole. Usually around on average, it's around the 6th hole, I get this. So, Mike, what do you do? Right? All along, these 3 other people been dropping some bombs here and there. And when I tell them, after the onslaught of golf and God jokes that they somehow think I've never heard before, then comes all the corrective action to make sure that they don't say the things that they've already been saying for 5 holes. And I'm in shorts and a polo shirt. You wouldn't know, but I don't mind the fact that, I could be the biggest sinner in the world, they may or may not know, but just knowing who I am changes the dynamic. My brother-in-law told me when I was ordained a bishop, he said, you'll never have to make a putt again in your life, you know? So sure. Oh, Bishop, you're good. You're good. You're good. The circle of friendship just got really, really wide. But it's okay that who I am might elevate the demeanor and the activity and the perspective of the people I'm around. And it's not just, to a person who's in my position. All of us know people that when they're there, the room changes. We don't act like that when she's here. We don't talk like that when she's here. We take on a different culture when he's around. And isn't that a blessing? Isn't that a blessing? Yes, we should be more of that in our world. That's what Jesus is calling us to today in the gospel. Let your presence transform. You don't need to take anything with you. Just be you. Be you as I've created you to be. Be you following the will of the Father. And when you do that, people will notice and they will change. That's the power I'm giving you. That's the way in which we can overcome all fear. By showing the world that we can live lives of peace and justice. We can live lives of love. Where? First and foremost, it has to be in our families. We have to witness to the people with whom we live. And sometimes, you would think that it should get easier the longer you've been married or the longer you've been together, whatever it is. It should get easier. Sometimes, am I right? It gets harder because you think to yourself, he's not going to listen to me. She's been like that forever, right? And we write them off. And we don't recognize that Jesus never writes anyone off. And you may be the only instrument that our God can use to touch the heart of your spouse, your child, your brother or sister. The family needs to be the place where first and foremost we hold up our presence, broken as we are, and say, the Lord is at the center of my life. It has to be. And it can't just be on Sunday morning. It has to be regular, every day, throughout the day, so that it's imbibed in everything that we do as a family, especially on vacation, because there is no vacation from God. But it doesn't stop there. It goes from your family to your workplace. If you're already retired, there's some organizations you're engaged in or whatever, school, wherever it might be. We have to go there and be that person that other people say when he's around, we try and we live up. We live up. I always play better golf when I'm playing with better golfers. Keep that in mind if you want to invite me somewhere. So if I'm playing poorly, it's a reflection on you. But isn't that true in the moral life? With people that are, not living a certain lifestyle, we can tend to live into that with them. Instead of being strong and realizing, I have got to be the presence of Christ in this moment. The only thing he sent me here with is my spirit that he's given me, the Holy Spirit, to live. And we've got to do that in those places. And the last place, I shouldn't say it's the last place. The third place, the final place, is right here in our parish community. This needs to be a place where we are strengthened in our capacity, where we learn that we're not alone, and where we share not just in our weaknesses, our common need to say we're sorry, but also in our common strength as a faith community that can make a tremendous difference for all of us as we strengthen each other, but also for this community here in Highlands. You know, you're blessed. You have a pastor who has a vision. And his vision is a shared vision. It's the vision of the church. And he is constantly trying to place that before you and help all of you as the leader he was ordained to be, to say, come. This is where our community can make a difference. And I guarantee you that he would be willing to set fire to the architectural drawings for what we're about to break ground for. Relax, we're not going to set fire to that yet. But I said he would be willing to if he could swap that for all of us, accepting full and fullest responsibility to be the living stones of the church that are committed to being engaged disciples out in the world, which is what the new church will symbolize here in this place. He would toss that out the window for that. But it doesn't have to be either or. It doesn't have to be one or the other. The one, it's yin and yang. The one strengthens the other. A new building, a new church that's larger and beautiful as this all is, even with the black tarp, it can be a little prettier, wouldn't we agree? Yes, it can. It can. And that beauty inspires us. It elevates us to say, let me take that beauty out into a world that thinks beauty is this or that. Let's do both. Let's do both. My brothers and sisters, we live in a world that is challenged because it doesn't know Christ and it doesn't know his peace, and it thinks that it can solve things through yelling louder or by being more imposing. It never worked in Amos's time, didn't work in Jesus' time, it still doesn't work today. May we show the world a different way, a way where peace transforms unbelievably more beautifully than any other gift, especially the ways of violence. And may we acknowledge that thoughts and prayers for others is not enough. May we rather commit to the removal of those thoughts in our own minds that criticize and judge and put down others, that then gets translated ultimately into the words we speak and the words we post, and then ultimately get translated into our actions and lead to violence. We are powerful. We can change that. Let's start right here. Amen.